Hey everyone, it's Julie Moon, Senior Research Analyst with Finovate. Today, I'm following up with one of the demo companies we hosted at last month's FinovateEurope conference, Strands. In this video, I'm joined by Claudio Cungi, Head of Product for Strands. Claudio will be sharing his top takeaways and be discussing some of the trends he saw pulsing throughout the event, as well as some of the more granular industry trends he sees going on. Claudio, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us joining this Q&A session, which we think is particularly interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So to get started, briefly introduce yourself.
Yes, sure. As you said, I'm Claudio Cungi. I am the head of product at Strands. And Strands, we are a US fintech company that actually is based also in Europe and operates since a decade into the AI/ML industry.
And give us a brief overview for those who might not have been at FinovateEurope, what Strands demoed at the conference.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So we actually showed a use case that was based on our new fully flagged SaaS platform. Basically, what we saw was a retail customer that has set a saving goal on his mobile app, on his PFM, for buying a new Ducati, a new motorbike. But he actually received a notification that was telling him that he was actually not likely to afford this new motorbike, even after aggregating multiple current accounts from multiple banks. So what actually happened was that the bank was able, in the end, after aggregating all his third-party accounts, to offer him a real-time loan thanks to real-time credit scoring that was actually enabled by analyzing and enriching his transactions. So what we actually have been doing was to orchestrate several modules that are all available on our platforms. We orchestrate basically modules coming from our PFM, from our categorization engine, from our access to account, and from our engager. This was basically what the use case was all about.
Very great. So at the event, looking at the event in general, what were some of the trends that resonated with you?
Sure. I think that we can actually summarize three key trends we can see that are like shaking the industry, the financial service industry, of course. The first one is open banking. Open banking is actually driving banks in searching for new use cases that are, of course, based on PSD2, but it also goes beyond PSD2. Furthermore, I would say a massive adoption of API technologies, again, due to PSD2 in getting in force, has supported the transition to new models that are likely also SaaS models that are driving adoption of new services by the bank that are coming outside the bank's legacies. The second trend I would see is a definitely radical change in the demand, meaning the customer. Pandemic is on one side, of course, accelerating a drastic, I would say, migration onto the digital channels that was, of course, already there. But now the transition, I would say, is getting completed, okay? On the other hand, also the way customers wants to access liquidity, so they want to get access to new cash, is accelerating and is changing also again through this massive rotation on digital channels. Furthermore, also fintechs and new services are arising through the industry. This brings us to the third trends we can see is that the competitive arena, meaning the way fintechs, financial service are changing is something that is I would say, always more and more evident. We can see like buy now, pay later services, software as a service, challenger banks. These kind of players are actually shaking the industry, I would say, in a sensible way, showing us that new ways are of offering services from banks are needed now.
Definitely, definitely. So given that recent shift to digital that you mentioned, how will banks change how they interact with their customers?
Sure. Actually, the trends we have been explaining shows that customers are actually interacting with their bank always more and more from a digital perspective. So customer nowadays expect to have always more focused communications and tailored experience through digital channels. Basically, they expect that the bank still knows them as well as, for instance, their personal banker might know them. In this sense, we can understand that AI and ML technologies are getting always more and more important, meaning that it's going to be thanks to these kind of technologies that we will likely be able, as a bank, to better understand our customers and to better tailor their needs with tailored proposition. So if a bank is able to adopt ML instruments, it will be likely also more be better able to communicate tailored propositions via digital channels. Moreover, it's making right predictions at the right time via digital channels will likely be the predominant way, in our opinion, to have a good relation bank customer. And this is also likely to be the key source of revenues for the bank. So being able to establish a trustful relationship that will likely lead in selling product in the right time the customer needs it via digital channels.
Definitely, yeah, that understanding the customer seems to be key, continues to be key. So focusing in now on small business customers, do you think that small business clients are looking for specific use cases?
Yes, definitely. Let's think that small business customers are likely looking for specific use cases because they have specific needs. Let's think of cash flow monitoring, cash flow forecasting, tax management, invoicing management, but also financial planning. These specific needs are needs that I would say are definitely focused on small business customers. These needs will likely lead the bank in building new use cases that are, of course, not suitable, I would say, to retail customers. In fact, one more time, I definitely think that AI and ML technologies will be a massive enabler, okay, to enable these kind of use cases that will likely also enable a new business model from the banks. So consider also that furthermore, one more time, of course, also the pandemic is spreading the needs of liquidity. And so reconciling payments with invoices in order to suggest potential credit collection or factoring is likely a use case that can be triggered by the bank, again, in the right time when the customer needs it, again, through AI or ML technologies. So what we think is that small business customer will likely experience strong innovation in the upcoming years.
Mhm. So looking now at banks' needs in specific, how can Strands help banks that are working on new business models support this change that you've been describing?
Definitely. Excuse me. Strands operates in the AI/ML sector since a decade now, and also thanks to the recent acquisition of CRIF, is now even more powering our platform. Okay, consider that our solution aims in covering all the needs that we have been talking about. So our PFM basically enables retail customers getting financial control, foresight, and well-being of their needs. BFM is dedicated for small business customers and seeks supporting their growth or their, again, financial needs. Engager is our product that basically turns out complex data into relevant insights. So to enable that customer bank's relationship we have been talking about. And open up, meaning we need to leverage on multiple external services all in one place, so to enable banks to aggregate multiple sources of data, like, of course, transactional data coming from third parties, invoices, but also other kind of data, like, for instance, also carbon footprint scores. Everything from our perspective has to be available both as a service or as a software, meaning that banks should be able also to access it either as an external platform, so as a service, or as a software, so they can manage it on their own.
Great. Yeah, lots of opportunities for banks to broaden their horizons there. Well, thank you so much, Claudio, for taking the time to share your thoughts today. This has been Claudio Cungi, Head of Product for Strands. I'm Julie Moon. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Goodbye.